This is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God.
Today we're reading from Chapter 15, The Holy Instant. This is Section 6, The Holy Instant and the Laws of God. It is impossible to use one relationship at the expense of another and not to suffer guilt. And it is equally impossible to condemn part of a relationship and find peace within it. Under the Holy Spirit's teaching, all relationships are seen as total commitments, yet they do not conflict with one another in any way. Perfect faith in each one, for its ability to satisfy you completely, arises only from perfect faith in yourself. And this you cannot have while guilt remains. And there will be guilt as long as you accept the possibility and cherish it that you can make a brother into what he is not, because you would have him so.
I'm going to say again, immediately, let's understand guilt. I mean, to me, it helps me to understand guilt as I set a bar of some sort. If I exceed that bar or fall short of that bar, I'm either failing in some way or succeeding in some way. The bar is a limit. The Son of God is not limited. Because God is not limited. So by setting parameters, conditions, edges to the Son of God or to God himself or to anything that we want to... The sonship. The brothers. By setting limits on them, I'm saying that the Course is calling that guilt, and it helps it to be more understandable.
And guilt came out of the separation and the belief that you could be separated. So the part that hits me is under the Holy Spirit's teaching, all relationships are seen as total commitments.
Now that's got to be frightening.
Yeah, I know.
You have to just say, wow, no way, Jose.
I know. But obviously, the Course is saying that it is. So relationships are seen as total commitments, yet they do not conflict with one another in any way. So that we got to get our head around. How could they not conflict if they're total commitments? Because the only kind of commitments we think of, it's like, wow, if I had total commitments with everything, with people, not everything that I do, I'd be exhausted. That's how I think of it, you know. But that's not true.
No, those are contracts of a limited self.
Yes.
Of a guilty self.
Yes.
Of a guilty person making partial deals and then pretending as though they're complete and total. And the stress of keeping a partial commitment as though it's a true commitment is hellish.
Right. And the idea that I can have a commitment with that one and that one and that one, and that one, I'm going, if from my egoic standpoint, I'm just going to think that's impossible.
Well, and what's the other side is that, wow, I don't know if I've got the mettle to hold up a total commitment.
Right.
I know they don't.
Yeah, right.
So I know somebody's going to get stiffed in this situation.
So, we're speaking from two different levels, because commitments that one human ego makes to another human ego have all kinds of failures and things like that go along with them. But this is taking it a level up, because Jesus says perfect faith in each one of those commitments, for its ability to satisfy you completely arises only from perfect faith in yourself. And so perfect faith in myself can only mean that Jesus or the Holy Spirit has perfect faith in me, and then I somehow recognize or that something has to happen.
Absolutely none of that will fly.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Okay,
none
so-
of this will fly in terms of, because at this point in this teaching, the holy instant and the laws of God, I'm still superimposing my guilt, my limits,
Right.
onto my understanding of what a commitment even is,
Right.
what the commitment is between in terms of me and another.
Right.
We still haven't, the lesson hasn't exposed that. So
Yeah.
it's still a frightening
Right.
lesson after paragraph 1.
Yes, but let's go on and find out what else is going to happen here.
Paragraph 2. You have so little faith in yourself because you are unwilling to accept the fact that perfect love is in you.
There it is. Perfect love is in me.
And so you seek without for what you cannot find without. I offer you my perfect faith in you in place of all your doubts. But forget not that my faith must be as perfect in all your brothers as it is in you, or it would be a limited gift to you. In the holy instant, we share our faith in God's Son because we recognize together that he is wholly worthy of it, and in our appreciation of his worth, we cannot doubt his holiness, and so we love him. Okay, again, it said holy instant. Every time you hear holy instant, miracle, holy relationship, we're talking transcendence.
Yes.
We're not talking about my understanding of this body, this person, even this.
Right.
You
It's
know,
not time space. It's
even
out of
even if I'm a
outside.
full-blown glowing saint, we're not talking about my separated self,
Right.
however altruistic that might be. I don't have the ability to do any of these things. And so to keep from glazing and going unconscious while I'm reading it, we have to understand that the holy instant and the miracle and the holy relationship are transcendent states of awareness.
Yes.
And you can only, and by practicing those transcendent states of awareness is the only way you can believe what this is saying. You can
Right.
understand it, but
Yeah.
then you throw it out the window, just like a full commitment. There's no way.
Right. Right. But, the whole thing that Jesus has perfect faith in me, or in you. And so, therefore, he has perfect faith in all my brothers. And so it cannot be limited. I mean, it's important for me to get my head around that. So
Jesus' understanding of himself isn't as a separate being, separate from the Father,
Or
separate from the
us.
sonship,
Yeah, it's
separate
not
from
separate
us.
from us.
Jesus' understanding of himself is fully immersed in the Father, fully an expression of God's extension
yes.
as the sonship. Jesus is all in all.
Yes.
Jesus is
Jesus
all in
is
all,
all in all.
which is why he can say these things.
Yes.
He would not be able to say them if he was some isolated ego off in Galilee or Nazareth or whatever, walking on water and doing what he does.
It's true. I agree. I think we'll go on.
Yeah.
Paragraph 3. All separation vanishes as holiness is shared. For holiness is power, and by sharing it, it gains in strength. And if you seek for satisfaction in gratifying your needs as you perceive them, you must believe that strength comes from another, and what you gain, he loses. Someone must always lose if you perceive yourself as weak. Yet there is another interpretation of relationships that transcends the concept of loss of power completely.
Yet there's another interpretation of relationships that transcends the concept of loss of power completely.
And this is where we end up, I think, going into ideas. I'm almost going to say that the whole idea of being able to share holiness is going to come and explain itself in the following paragraphs. There can be no loss of, in fact, holiness that's shared gains in strength. I cannot understand that until I understand what's going to come next, how my holiness gains in strength. So let's move on.
Okay.
Or anyone's holiness.
Paragraph 4. You do not find it difficult to believe that when another calls on God for love, your call remains as strong, nor do you think that when God answers him, your hope of answer is diminished. On the contrary, you are more inclined to regard his success as witness to the possibility of yours. That is because you recognize, however dimly, that God is an idea.
There it is.
And
is
so your faith in him is strengthened by sharing. What you find difficult to accept is the fact that, like your father, you are an idea. And like him, you can give yourself completely, wholly without loss, and only with gain. Herein lies peace, for here there is no conflict. An idea.
Yeah.
An idea. Let's think about this, because, again, along with the first paragraph of saying, no way, we're not going to have this total commitment thing. I don't see how that could possibly
But
happen.
until we understand that we're an idea and God's an idea, that's the only way you can understand.
Okay, but
that.
then I have a problem with idea as well.
Right.
I'm an idea. Hey, no, thank you.
I know.
You know, if I go up to somebody on the street
and I was
and
like, wait a minute. It's so amorphous.
yeah, hey, Joe Bob, you know what? I've been thinking about this. You're an idea.
Yeah.
And he goes, you've lost your mind.
Right, exactly.
You're an idea. No, what I mean is, no, there's that concept of me being an idea. I'm okay with God being an idea because why? Because we want to throw ideas under the bus. That gets into polemics. We can fight with ideas.
Right.
We can take one idea against another. God is an idea. Yes, so is communism. Yes, so is, whatever.
Capitalism.
Yeah, right, capitalism. So is anything. They're all ideas. So let's put them on the table and see who wins. Like it's a cockfight or something.
Yes.
And the thing where it's saying it's an idea, want to go into it, I'm guessing, and I don't know, I didn't look it up, but I'm going to say that the etymology of idea probably has something to do with Deus, which is God. So there's something there.
Oh, yeah, dia. Okay, I see.
Dea. I'm guessing. I don't know if that's the case or not. Somebody would have to, check on it. I'll check on it. But in any case, this is a thought experiment. Say, if I take anything, if I go like this, I go, this is chapstick. And then I say, this is only chapstick. Do you realize those are two totally different ideas?
Yeah.
This is chapstick. You go, oh yeah, burnt lips, whatever, skiing, whatever you do with chapstick,
Dry weather.
But if I say, this is only chapstick, you go, well, so there's greater things than chapstick around. So this is our problem. When we say it's an idea, we have an implied word of only. Only. It's only an idea.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I'm only an idea. You can almost hear it screaming behind it.
Oh, right, yes.
So that idea about something being only this, or mere man. What if I say, I'm a human? Okay, I'm a human. I'm only human.
Oh, right.
Only human is just total limitation.
Right. Yes.
But if I say I'm human, we're talking dignity and the human possibility.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah. So, So in this one about God as an idea, so you do not find it difficult to believe that when another God calls on God for love, your call remains as strong. This is the idea that ideas can be shared, and ideas, when they're shared, gain in strength.
Right. But
gain in their expression.
But it said it's a dim idea because we don't really think, oh, God's an idea. We just think, God's an abstraction. Maybe this person in the crapshoot of spirituality will get what they prayed for. Maybe. And if they get what they paid for, hey, maybe I'll get what I pray for. That's where we're at with it. That's why it says dimly. We don't understand the sharing and the strengthening. We don't understand that.
Right.
Do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't think that we understand the sharing. But I'm trying to get my head around the whole idea that I'm an idea, that you're an idea, that we're all, and the idea is the ability to share completely. I mean, there's nothing left out of it.
One thing is, can you destroy an idea? No, you can pollute the headspace. You can create conflicts within the mind that make it difficult to focus on an idea or to deal with it individually without other things rushing in.
Right.
But an idea is immortal, eternal. It doesn't, so that if I'm an idea, it's the immortal aspect, it's the eternal aspect. And as an idea, there's an expression there. An idea, also earlier, I call on God's name and my own,
Right.
is in the lessons. So that name that I can call on, it does not give a name.
Yeah, it does.
Because God's name is the same as my name in the lesson.
Right.
And the reason they don't give it to me is because it's mine. There's one for every person who does that lesson. It's not going to give you Huddy or
it's not going to give you
Ram or Jesus or anything.
Not even Om.
No, it won't give you Jesus or Christ or nothing.
Right.
Because the idea that you are has an identity, and a name is an identity. You as an idea have an identity. Identity, the identity, right. Idea and identity are coming from the same root word again.
Right. Well, I don't know. Should we go on?
Yeah.
That was paragraph 4.
Okay.
Paragraph 5. In the world of scarcity, love has no meaning and peace is impossible. For gain and loss are both accepted, and so no one is aware that perfect love is in him. In the holy instant, you recognize the idea of love in you, and unite this idea with the mind, capital M, that thought it, and could not relinquish it. By holding it within itself, there is no loss. The holy instant thus becomes a lesson in how to hold all of your brothers in your mind, experiencing not loss, but completion. From this it follows you can only give, and this is love, for this alone is natural under the laws of God. In the holy instant, the laws of God prevail, and only they have meaning. The laws of this world cease to hold any meaning at all. When the Son of God accepts the laws of God as what he gladly wills it, it is impossible that he be bound or limited in any way. In that instant, he is as free as God would have him be. For the instant he refuses to be bound, he is not bound. Wow. So, the idea in the holy instant, the idea is that love is in you. Love is in me. And it unites with the idea, with the mind that thought it. And that is the mind of God. And as you said, it's an eternal beingness. The idea.
Yeah, God's not fickle.
No.
God doesn't have ADD. He doesn't forget about things.
And therefore, you cannot experience any loss, but rather completion. So in that holy instant, there's a sense of wholeness, a sense of oneness is now remembered in that holy instant, in that moment of that where time and space give way to the now instant. That's when that's experienced. And that's why they say keep practicing.
Okay, well, that's worth going into in terms of the thought, the idea, the thought of God, the idea of God, and the holy instant, in terms of understanding any of these things. The first line is, in the world of scarcity, love has no meaning and peace is impossible. Now, do we understand that? We understand that.
Mm-hmm. Scarcity,
Scarcity means there's partial quantities again.
Yes.
So it's full of guilt or just partial quantities, and things around the corner and unknowns.
Right.
In a world of unknowns, it's absolutely possible.
Well, love has no meaning and peace is impossible. Love is, again, a wholeness.
Love is the unification of all things.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yes.
We don't understand it. If we say idea, maybe we understand it. But prior to that, we don't understand it. And then scarcity means
and yet saying that love, I can have the concept that love is an idea, interestingly enough. Almost better than I can understand that I am an idea. But once I understand that I am love, then and love is an idea, then I understand how it's shared. That helps me. I don't know if it helps anyone else, but it helps me.
Well, it's worth going into. I don't know if we can do it here, but when I say love, if I go into myself and check, I realize there are a lot of shadows in my mind, meaning shadows of what love might be, whether it's a cute puppy or a good relationship or a mother or a father or baby, whatever, or, a Florence Nightingale on a battlefield, you're reaching down to a wounded person. I've got ideas wrapped around love. But when I say love, aside from those ideas that I have around love, I don't have a clue. I don't know what love is. I don't know what love is other than all my ideas about love. And all of those ideas are informed by the world that I'm in. I'm okay with that because then I'm open to learning other things about love.
But this is talking about love as you experience it in the holy instant.
Right.
That you would remember
I
what you are.
just want to say,
Yeah.
I'm responding to how you said, it's interesting how I can see a love as an idea. Well, because we're open to changing it. That's because we think we can change ideas.
I see what you're saying.
But if I see myself as an idea, it's like, well, what kind of idea do you have? I mean, are you going to wear a straw hat today and like a little felt, derby tomorrow? Or, you're going to wear checkered clothes one day? Are you going to get really, really fat in the next couple of days? Or, what's going to happen here to the forms and shapes
of my idea of myself.
Of my idea of myself. And then how do I act those out?
Okay.
See, we're having a real problem with that right now.
Yes.
Yes, you're an idea. You're an idea.
Yeah. There's a full spectrum of ideas.
Yeah, you could be a girl, you could be a guy. Hey, you could be both.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I
could say
I can do whatever I want because I'm an idea.
I identify as a cat today.
The Course in Miracles is not saying that. There was a time, which I've said in other places, there was a time when someone spoke a word. And that's why the Bible and other scriptures, they were not written. Other scriptures were not written at first. Because when they were spoken, they had an immortal, eternal sort of truth. That's why they have whole traditions of people in India that just memorize the Vedas. That's whether they know what the thing means or not, they memorize it. And it's a spoken thing. There wasn't any, written. There weren't glyphs. The thing that we look at as Sanskrit isn't Sanskrit. That's just whatever the Devanagari script. It's totally a modern interpretation. You might as well write Sanskrit in English. It doesn't matter. It's not like there's a written Sanskrit.
Okay.
Because the words, the syllables were considered divine. There are other languages that do that. I think Hebrew does it. I think Arabic might do it.
And that's why all the little inflection points and stuff like that were so important as well. All the little
the inflections are very, very important because the pronunciation is important.
Changes it.
Yeah, my point isn't to derail into language studies. It's just to say that it used to be that when we said things, it was sacred utterance. It was a powerful, meaningful idea that was unassailable because it was issuing out of a great mind. Ideas were of the great mind. We are far, far, far down from that. We've come to where, hey, I got an idea. I don't know, I got an idea. I don't know. Hey, I got a bunch of ideas, that we throw that word around. It's talking more in terms of the sacred here. Let's just put it that way.
Yes,
it's
I
talking
agree.
about the sacred.
I agree. The part in there, the holy instant thus becomes a lesson in how to hold all your brothers in your mind, experiencing not loss, but completion. Again, that takes some...
How would you do that? What would that look like to you? Let's take it as marching orders.
Well, the thing of it is, first of all, I have to say I'm in the holy instant, and so if you've never experienced a holy instant, it doesn't seem like all you can do is keep practicing. But the holy instant becomes a lesson in how to hold all your brothers in your mind, experiencing not loss, but completion, because in that holy instant, wholeness is made completely aware. The knowledge of your wholeness with all living things, all beings, there is the separation goes away. You recognize that all things are one with the all that is. And
The holy instant, what's interesting about the holy instant is, if I can presume to say how I think it works, it's an invitation to dropping the barrier between myself and another.
yes.
That's intimacy by definition. It's also unity by definition.
Right.
So I've made and why have I made the request? Often it's because I've reached the edge of an understanding. I've reached the edge of an experience. And so I throw that out to the Holy Spirit in wanting to know what's the nature of this experience here, especially if I'm doing the Course in Miracles. Anytime, as we discussed, anytime there's a lack of peace, anytime there's a judgment, anytime there's anxiety and
Right.
difficulty and anger and depression and sinking into my littleness and all that, I make this call out to say there must be a different way to see this. In other words, tie me into this. Okay, I want to be in this scene. I don't want to be this isolated thing that's suffering at the hands of some victimization engine. I want to see myself as part of God's plan, some wise plan, some extension of love. Somehow, if it exists, let me see how that works.
Right.
The veil comes down.
Yeah.
And when the veil comes down, then I see myself. Now, what is it you were saying?
The veil comes down. I can say the veil goes up.
Yeah, the veil goes, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lifting
Yeah, we lift the
away.
veil, lift
yeah,
the
you
veil.
lift the veil. Yes. And then you can see that all things are connected. I mean, there is no separation. So therefore, you will not experience loss, but completion.
And you can hold all your brothers in your mind.
Yes, in your mind.
And the completion is, what happens is, if that happens with one person,
Yeah.
person,
Yeah, right.
there's an immediate, speaking from experience, there's an immediate sort of bleed over or extension into everybody else. It's not like, well, I've had this holy instant and it involves that thing. It doesn't work that way. It's like if I had this holy instant, in other words, the veil goes up or falls off, so that the truth is revealed, however microscopically, for whatever time.
Yeah.
In that instant and in that situation, I see the rest of it as unified with me. You know, it's a full-blown unity consciousness experience that they talk about in,
Yeah,
having an enlightened
Yes.
experience. But in the case of the Course in Miracles, it's something to practice. It's something, samadhi, I guess, but it's this, which is this equal-mindedness, samadhi, equal mind, samadhi. So it could be that that's exactly what this holy instant is, and it happens through that invitation, the veil going away, the distance between myself and the other eliminated. And what happens is, the completion is when I find out about the other, I find out about myself.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's where the completion comes in.
Yeah. Right. As soon as it dawns on your mind, or that the other is the same, it goes complete. It doesn't leave anything out.
This whole thing is on the laws of God, and we've hardly talked about it. When the Son of God accepts the laws of God as what he gladly wills.
But first of all, right before it says the laws of this world cease to hold any meaning at all, which is another thing. In the holy instant, the laws of God prevail and only they have meaning. The laws of this world cease to hold any meaning at all. And when the Son of God accepts the laws of God as what he gladly wills, it is impossible that he be bound or limited in any way. In that instant, he's free.
I'm going to say some of the laws of God, of course, we're all free to make our own list. But one of the laws of God is that reality can't be separated. Reality can't be sundered.
Right.
And to the degree that I'm real, or to the degree that I have a true self, it is inseparable from the rest of truth. These are laws. I can separate myself off, conceptually. It's not an idea in terms of the Course, but I can separate myself conceptually, and I'm free to do that. And humans do that. You got a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. You got, hospital zones. You got IRS laws. You got tax laws and marital laws and, all kinds of laws. All of those are irrelevant. God's laws are that the idea of God, the extension of God and his creation, is absolutely unified, and there's absolutely no need or reason for any conditionalities on that, because the nature of those laws are that truth is true.
Yes, truth is true. And God's will is really my will. And
So what do you think? Some other laws? I'm saying that one is that reality can't be chopped up.
God's will and my will are the same.
Yes.
That's another lesson that we have to learn. God's will and my will are the same. Now, it seems like here we're given what we call free will, but anytime I want to do it my way, so to speak, well, that's not the true will of what I am really about. My will and God's will are the same. He would never, God, because of that, for me to do anything that is sort of an idea that I'm separate and I have my will and I will go off and do whatever I want, like the prodigal son, you only recognize that the will is the same when you decide to unite again with God's will. And then you find out, oh, it was my will. It was the will that I wanted all along because it's the same.
Well, and if God has a will and that I have my own will and they're separate, and I go off and do the prodigal son thing or whatever, I just go creatively figure out how I want to live this life, and it happens to be counter to God. That's a rejection in terms of the Course in Miracles, what we're just studying. That's a rejection of love.
Yes,
it's a rejection of God. It's a rejection of God's love. Is it so? So following God's
laws, which therefore makes me feel like I can never feel my own love so long as I reject God's love.
Absolutely, there's no way to find a love that is separate from that. So the laws here, they conflate or overlap with love.
Yes.
And truth.
Truth.
If laws are true,
and ideas that are shared, according to the Course, ideas that are shared automatically extend. In other words, they grow. It extends and they grow in strength. And the ideas that are shared are the ideas that God is love, I am love. Therefore, all my brothers are love. And so it goes out and out and out and out and out. I mean, it seems to just become expansive. I mean, obviously, where there is no time and space, it's just always whole. But for us, it would be where, again, that once it dawns on my mind, your mind, the ones who are listening, that our wills are the same, the love is the same. When it actually becomes knowledge, meaning I remember what I am, it has that, again, that ripple in the pond, the drop in the pond. And what we don't recognize is that when that happens, the sonship has a little bit of a shake going on. In other words, more that are just a little bit willing, that you don't know about, have just been given the ability to awaken a little bit more. So every time one of us awakens to the truth, to that holy instant, it puts a ripple out effect into the entire sonship. So the more you apply what the Course is talking about, the more you affect the reality around you, which is important to understand, that ideas are shared. And as it's shared, the idea of love, the idea of one will, the idea that I cannot be separate, that peace is what comes and dawns on the mind.
Right, okay, but those are all, again, I will say this, but those are just words to me. How does this happen in my experience? It's one thing to know this and say that love leads to peace and all this.
It happens, as we've discussed in prior lessons, that you give up your judgments. It says a holy instant cannot be experienced when you are judging. You have to decide that truly, to walk out of your house or wake up in the morning and say, I don't know anything. I don't know what anything is for. I don't know what I'm really doing or anything else. There has to be a sense of suspension of what I think I know. It seems like counterintuitive, but you have to at least have some points in your day where you walk around and said, maybe I really don't know what that thing is for. Maybe I don't really know what I think that person is really up to. We make judgments on people in particular so flippantly. And we think that, oh, that person did such and such, so therefore I know what they're up to. I know what they're about. I know because of the kind of clothes they wear, because of the kind of kids they have.
Yeah, past experiences.
It's just, It's immediate. And
Okay, and that's a good point, just what you're saying there. So the deal is this. That person that you just talked about, that,
Yes.
yeah, I know what they've done in the past to me or to others. I see the way they dress. I can tell things about them just by, I can size them up. I can do that. So, yeah, that person's there. And they really do behave that way. And they really do those things. I could be a really, really good judge of character. And that person does all the things I thought they were going to do. But they have another reality. There's another idea, which isn't my idea, okay? It's not it's God's idea of what that person is. And
we hold each one in prison every time we hold them with our ideas about them. And, as you said, I mean, we started doing our prayers about certain people that we would remove our ideas because we feel as though we are blocking their ability to be, I want the reflection back of something not about what I'm thinking about them being.
Warning
Okay.
about this thing. No, I agree absolutely, completely. The problem with it is we are clever. We are so clever.
Well, that's
and that I can style myself to be forgiving. I can style myself to be tolerant to the point that I even fool myself that I'm forgiving and tolerant.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Yes.
look at Phil. He's being tolerant again. Look how loving he is. Look he doesn't think ill of anyone, especially if they're not here. I refuse to speak ill of the dead. I can condition myself. Where I'm going to say the Course says it earlier on. We covered it in one of these chapters. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there's a dark aspect to the reason we're here. We're on, in a sense, just to drag it back to this, we're on Prison Planet. Yeah, why did you say that? Anyway, we're on Prison Planet, and so I got a ceiling up there, and I can, if I could jump high enough, I could bang my head on it, and I can't go through that wall. And light dims and light gets bright. I live on Prison Planet. That's where I think I am. So the important thing here is to realize that this love and this thing, it might be more important for me to go into and be honest about my judgments.
Right.
I don't. Let's take an innocent one because I don't want to be politically incorrect. I don't like how they're dressed. Okay, the guy's wearing a paisley suit. And there's got to be something wrong with a person who wears a paisley suit. Rather than go, paisley, isn't that colorful? It's so fantastic. Diversity is the spice of life. No, I hate that paisley suit. I don't like that paisley suit. I have judgments. I think that anybody that goes with that paisley suit has something radically wrong with them.
I'm sorry,
okay?
just the green eggs and ham thing came to my mind.
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss, I don't like green eggs and ham.
Well, green eggs and ham might be the story. You know what I mean? That might be the deal. So I'm going to use paisley suit just to stay and not to get into Dr. Zeus. But anyway, so I see this paisley suit. I hate it. Go there.
Yeah. Exactly.
Go there. Don't say, no, I'm more tolerant than that.
No, you have
No,
to,
the
you have to be
Course says
honest
that.
with yourself.
If
for
you
sure.
don't like those paisleys, you want to kill him.
Yeah, you want murder.
You want to rip those clothes off him and burn them on the spot. That we're using Course in Miracles language here. The least ripple in my piece is murderous rage.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, though, that all of these things, if I see these sons of God and I have any judgments about them whatsoever of any kind, I don't get a holy instant by going, diversity is the spice of life. Well, I just don't know. I don't know.
No, that's
because
not
you
it.
know what?
No.
You don't know. That's true. And you don't know. You might get to know them. I'm not going to. And they might turn out to be just great. And you walk away just patting yourself on the back and saying, wow, mission accomplished. Aren't I good? And you have just erected a wall between yourself and the sonship instead of saying, Paisley, are you kidding? This guy's a moron. Now, you don't necessarily go up and say it. You don't pull his suit off.
Right.
But you contact the Holy Spirit and you say, Holy Spirit, I don't know if you're getting this, but I want to kill this guy because of the suit he's wearing. I have murderous rage because of a pattern You know, what is going on here? I'm out of control. I have to have another way to see this situation.
Yeah, and another lesson was
And-
all things are a call for love.
But the only way, the only way you can get there is to be honest about your beef, honest about the problem you've got in a situation. You will not, cannot, never love green eggs and ham. You can't get there until you recognize I got a gripe.
Right.
Okay?
And then you have to be willing to want to see it another way and give it up. You
So
got to say,
once
I
again,
will.
self-honesty. That is truth. And it is said this in the Course in Miracles so many times. Be honest with yourself. Don't
Yes.
deceive yourself.
Right.
Don't deceive yourself into thinking you're better than you are. Because you know what? If I'm walking around this world and I think that I'm loving and caring and tolerant, and yet I go, oh, Vladimir Putin should die. Look at what he's doing over there. And I'm caught in the world play
Right.
with judgments and tolerance, and I don't express myself in any extreme ways. You know, if you go through that thing, man, you are kidding yourself
And it will make you crazy. It will.
and other people.
Yes, right.
It might even make you sick.
Right. It is an insanity maker.
So is point taken?
Yeah. Yeah.
In other words, let me say it very, very clearly. My shadow, my dark side, get into young, my judgments of people, my tendency to size them up, that's a doorway for the Holy Spirit. It's a doorway for the Holy Spirit. My self-designed
But
virtues,
you have to decide for the Holy Spirit.
right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying my self-designed virtues is slamming the door on the Holy Spirit.
Right. That's true.
Let's not kid ourselves.
Yes. And so long as you do that, you will never have a holy instant. That's just the way it works.
That's right. You'll get better and better and better, and you will get more and more separate and isolated, and you will avoid all that paisley suit world out there.
Right. Yeah.
I can see it coming. Here comes a guy in a paisley suit. I'm out of here. I don't want to feel my judgment, so I'm going elsewhere. Paragraph 6.
Paragraph 6.
In the holy instant, nothing happens that has not always been. Only the veil that has been drawn across reality
Is
is
lifted.
lifted. Nothing has changed. Yet the awareness of changelessness comes swiftly as the veil of time is pushed aside. No one who has not yet experienced the lifting of the veil and felt himself drawn irresistibly into the light behind it can have faith in love without fear. Yet the Holy Spirit gives you this faith because he offered it to me and I accepted it. Fear not, the holy instant will be denied you, for I denied it not. And through me the Holy Spirit gives it unto you as you will give it. Let no need you perceive obscure your need of this. For in the holy instant you will recognize the only need the sons of God share equally, and by this recognition you will join with me in offering what is needed. Once again, we're talking Jesus Guru. We're talking that he is identifying himself. We just got through saying that my shadow can be an invitation of the Holy Spirit. Whatever it is. By contrast, Jesus himself, the speaker here, is identifying himself as an alternate doorway.
Yes.
Partnering with Jesus. So I'm going to even say, if I can partner with Jesus, if that's not offensive to me somehow, if I can figure that out, of calling on the guru teacher that's ever available,
right,
as a constant companionship, walking all day hand in hand,
yes,
with this loving being. If I can do that, holy instants are incoming.
Yes.
If I cannot do that,
what I call it is like you have mighty companions when you let go of that veil, let go of that judgment which keeps the veil between me, between you and the truth and the reality that is always here, but we cannot see it while we hold on to those things.
Well, if I'm too cool for Jesus, I'm just extrapolating out from my own experience of I was in a pietistic family. I mean, my mom was very pietistic, and that was expected for us.
I just want to say the legions of companions include angels and archangels. All I'm saying is that there is a whole realm of beings that are
Right, realms
there
and realms and realms of beings who
that would
have
assist, and it's all one. But it's the sense is that you don't go it alone at all. I mean, it's once that veil is lifted, for however temporary it is, the recognition that you're not alone is very, very clear, and so that's a wonderful thing. Because how many times do we feel alone? Like nobody understands me. Nobody.
But and I jump in
Okay.
and say, if I'm too cool for Jesus, if I'm too cool for the community of saints, if I'm too cool for the ascended masters, I have the left-hand path available to me, the tantric left-hand path, which is to experience the negativity and judgment that I have,
and pain.
and pain,
Pain will come.
and difficulty,
Suffer.
and go into that and recognize in there a request for something else.
Yes, absolutely.
So take your pick.
Right. All I'm saying is, what I was actually saying was that, yes, but once you enter into, I'll go through my pain and suffering, which, most of us choose that because we don't know any other way. It's just something about the human nature to do that.
We're only human.
Yeah, only. that is the doorway. That becomes the doorway in desperation and everything else to finally say, I lay myself down and I will humble myself before something to get me out of the mess I've made of my mind.
And you can see that
and situations.
An irony is the stronger I am, the tougher I am, the more pain you get to feel.
That's true.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, if that's where you want to go.
I know.
That's where you want to go. Go ahead. I guess.
Okay. Paragraph 7. It is through us that peace will come. Join me in the idea of peace, for in ideas minds can communicate. If you would give yourself as your Father gives his self, you will learn to understand selfhood, and therein is love's meaning understood. But remember that understanding is of the mind. Remember that understanding is of the mind and only of the mind. Knowledge, therefore, of the mind
is therefore of the mind.
Knowledge is therefore of the mind, and its conditions are in the mind with it. If you were not an idea, and nothing but an idea, you could not be in full communication with all that ever was. Yet as long as you prefer to be something else, or would attempt to be nothing else and something else together, you will not remember the language of communication, which you know perfectly.
So somehow or another, and I feel like maybe we've done an inadequate job, and I'm not in a position to do an adequate job on plunging into a meditation on the reality of an idea and what an idea really means. Because an idea is unassailable. An idea, a true idea, is true. Is true,
yeah.
Unassailable, consistent, and it works completely.
And it can and will be shared. It just is shared.
It is shared because, and it's not a sharing of like I threw a rock in a pond and then the ripples go out. It's shared in that
It's the
if
same.
I have a true idea, it's already in you.
Yes,
And your true idea is already in me.
that's exactly right.
And that there's no difference in this. So we have to understand all of this terminology in this realm is to understand an idea. Understand what an idea, myself as an idea. Because if I'm an idea and you're an idea, and we're talking true ideas, we already overlap. There can be no question of full commitment. If I have a partial commitment or I have doubts about your commitment and in terms of an idea, that means this isn't a relationship in truth. However, I want to point out one thing is in the holy instant, because in this world that we're in, which is full of false ideas or questionable ideas. And so let's say you're a so-so idea and I'm a so-so idea and we're trying to get together and there's conflicts and a lack of commitment. If that's the case, And what happens is, in the mind of God and in the sonship, even in our flawed relationship, the reinterpretation of the Holy Spirit reconfigures, and you understand, yes, the commitment is total. That abusive relationship I am in, that person, and it's all unconscious, right? And you can only see it in the holy instant. You can only see the conscious, aware aspect of it in the holy instant, that abusive relationship is leading me to the truth. If I will embrace it and understand what's happening in this relationship, and I don't redefine the relationship as what I want it to be.
Right, and decide to remain as a victim of it. Yeah.
In other words, all relationships are potentially, as we discussed before, holy relationships. But we must be honest with ourselves and true. Every relationship does not have an arcing, flowery message of happily ever after over the
That's
top.
right. Doesn't.
Many relationships are like hit and run or head-on collisions. Those are the nature of a lot of our relationships. Let's take a relationship being a head-on collision. I know you used the car analogy last time. Let's say a relationship is a head-on collision. Obviously, nothing great about that. But there are some very real truths being expressed. And that's that it wasn't meant to be, that people are hurt, in this. But if I follow the head-on or the T-bone or the whatever, in terms of relationships, the Holy Spirit can reinterpret what happened there and bring something to it. Okay, in terms of this, I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's a quick one because it has to do with a side swipe. We're sitting in my brother-in-law's house. A car comes by, and it knocks. This is my ex. The car comes by and rams the side of her precious Toyota Tercel. This is back in the day, and almost tore the front end off of it. She comes running out, as she was prone to do, just waving her hands in the air, trying to get the license plate number, which we could not get, and the guy swerved down the road.
So she wasn't in it. It was
parked. No. It was on the it was parked on the side of the road.
Okay.
It's a hit and run. Okay, It's on the side of the road. She comes out yelling and screaming, and she starts crying. At a moment, she goes, "What am I doing? It makes no sense. I mean, it's all over, and it's a car." So we weren't doing the Course in Miracles. We were doing a bunch of affirmations at the time. There was some sort of a thing. So the path was getting us to a certain sense of balance in spite of the sideswiping. The point being is she grew, and something was revealed to her, that her knee-jerk reaction of going ballistic or going into a disaster mode was not always called for. It's not always an appropriate response. Right. And so she saw, oh, well, and then that expands out to other disasters where you say, well, maybe it's like the car thing. So this is the Holy Spirit explaining to us through a bad relationship, which is a driver and the Tercel, right? That's a bad relationship. It happens in physical relationships. The same hit and run happens, right? Am I alone in this?
No, I understand that. Yes.
So the same thing happens. And when that happens, you have to go, oh, look at, I've been victimized. Wait. Okay, it's a relationship. It's just, there's something else going on. And in terms of the Course, I can call on the Holy Spirit to reinterpret that. All relationships have that potential of coming to truth. Does that...
Yes, absolutely.
So you can throw out the window that there's going to be a holy relationship, just day by day by day by day.
Right.
The potential for the holy relationship is there, but it's always in the nature of the request of the Holy Spirit.
Right. I just want to also emphasize that in the holy instant, knowledge, pure knowledge of what you are and what the world is really made of or created of, would be the right terminology, is full. I mean, it's not partial knowledge. It is as if somebody gave you a download of the truth, the big truth with a big T. There is nothing that leaves anything outside of it. So it's only then that full communication is the idea.
Yeah, all the information has to be shared.
Yeah, you just know it. I mean, it is shared. It's shared immediately. And that dawning on your own mind is the thing that helps the rest of the sonship to awaken. At any rate, it says, if you are not an idea, nothing but an idea, you could not be in full communication with all that ever was. Because knowledge is full communication. It is that which is only in the holy instant. If you try to understand full communication and you're not trying to practice suspending your judgments, there's that whole section on practicing the holy instant.
Full communication is hopeless.
Yeah.
If you're not doing that kind of
hopeless.
practice.
The Course in Miracles is an experiential learning. And so to just read it and just kind of skim over it and everything else, you will never fully appreciate what it is giving to you until you apply it on a regular basis.
And if you achieve a love relationship with Jesus, as he said in the prior paragraph, if you achieve if you're into that devotee thing, if you can achieve that, then you can end around.
Yes, absolutely.
And Jesus will have that knowledge. And you can. Paragraph 8. In the holy instant, God is remembered, and the language of communication with all your brothers is remembered with him. Yes. For communication is remembered together, as is truth. There is no exclusion in the holy instant, because the past is gone, and with it goes the whole basis for exclusion. Without its source, exclusion vanishes, and this permits your source and that of all your brothers to replace it in your awareness. God and the power of God will take their rightful place in you, and you will experience the full communication of ideas with ideas. Through your ability to do this, you will learn what you must be, for you will begin to understand what your Creator is and what his creation is along with him. So all of this whole section hinges on ideas and what my reality.
And communication is, that's
right.
Yeah.
An idea, and what is an idea if not something communicated?
Right.
An idea that's not communicated is meaningless.
Yeah, that's true.
So communication and ideas, the whole thing hinges on, which is then sharing as well. Mm-hmm. Also, full commitment, as you said in the first part. Mm-hmm. So the whole chapter hinges on ideas. What do you think? Ideas. Me as an idea. Mm-hmm. You as an idea. Mm-hmm. As an idea.
I have to like do what you say, like make fuzzy vision, say an idea, because an idea doesn't have, edges around it. When I look at you and then I say you are an idea, I have a conflict in my mind because I'm seeing something that has edges around it. So I have to know that, as we've been doing these last ones, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. That you're not a body, you're free, you're still as God created you, and therefore we're the same. And the idea is immediately shared. But again, for me to sit here and say, let me just see you as an idea, I can't, because it requires the holy instant. The holy instant is when I know that ideas are shared.
Well, let me say this: take a situation where you have a ball, a rubber ball. I go to the store, I buy a rubber ball because I have a dog, and the purpose of the rubber ball is that I'm going to have the dog play with the ball. Now, the rubber ball has an idea. There's an idea in the ball when I bought it of sharing, of communicating with the dog in the only way that I can really communicate with the dog. The dog, let's say, represents the world, and it's got teeth and slobber, and he's got a certain personality.
Okay.
And the ball has a certain character. It's rubber, or it's hard plastic, or it's a rag-type ball. Whatever. The ball has a nature. The dog has a nature. I bought the ball to communicate with the dog. In other words, I come here into this world to communicate and to be in this world in a sharing capacity, in relationship, in the world with the world, in terms of a ball and a dog. Over time, the ball does what it's supposed to do, and it gets all slobbered up. the skin gets chewed off. The dog won't drop it. Every once in a while, it sinks its teeth right into it. It's got big gouges out of it. So I'm remembering the new rubber ball that was always designed to experience a certain path, which is slobber and chewing and the abuses of a dog in the name of love, in the name of communication. And so the ball as an idea is the whole thing. It began in the store in a plastic container. I bought it. I throw it the first time, and slowly it decays until it's shot, and it's just split in half, and I can't even throw it anymore. And then you've got a situation sometimes where the love was so great with the dog that you enshrine that ball.
That's an idol now.
Yeah. No, it becomes an idol.
It becomes an idol.
But I'm just saying that is the arc of communication and love.
In the egoic sense.
And a process. No. In terms of you and I both sitting here are that ball.
Okay.
We were thrown into this world. We have the dents, the chew marks, the slobber marks.
Okay.
We've been thrown around. That's what this body was always for from the start.
Oh, okay.
That's what this body was always intended for, to get old, to get decrepit, to get chewed up, to be banged. That's why we came in. To pretend that it's not is absolute
delusional.
insanity.
Yeah, right.
So what I'm saying is that even here in this world, with our difficulties, outside of the holy relationship is being able to see the ball and just going, God, this thing is a mess. The ball is a mess. You look over at the dog wagging his tail, and you got the ball, and you're going, I'm not understanding something. And in the holy relationship, in the holy instant, in the miracle, the veils, it raises, and it goes away. And I see the ball is not other than the desire for love and communication with the dog. It is not other than that. Do you understand?
Yes.
So that the essence and completion, despite the wounds, despite the scars, despite all those things, the whole business here is love and communication. And that's what the holy instant reveals, even in spite of scars.
Right.
In other words, I don't see a transcendent ball rising to
No,
heaven.
I understand
I
what
see
you're
a
saying.
banged up piece of junk that I don't even want to touch because it's so ugly, you know. But it can bring a transcendent moment of awareness.
Yes.
Is that clear?
Yes. It
So
can.
we're here with it.
Yes.
This is what we all got into. It's not like I got to wait for some better moment when I sprout wings.
No,
This is it.
Right. That's right. And then sometimes in those beat up moments that's when the holy instant happens, is because you're willing to let go of your ball. In other words, that which you're clinging to, and it becomes
Well,
that
and you
moment.
recognize what's the idea in the ball: love and communication.
Right.
The ball
Right.
is just a ball. I don't know what idea.
I know.
The
Get
whole
it.
thing is that.
I know. The whole thing is an idea that is shared, not just get an idea with a
Spirit.
little lamp up on top of my head.
Let me understand what's going on here.
I mean, I just think that, if there's no exclusion in the holy instant because the past is gone and with it goes the whole basis for exclusion. I mean, there's no other in the holy instant. There is only the one. Same, it's the same, it's the same.
Good answer.
I
That's
know.
the only answer.
I know, you want to be different, but really, we're all the same.
Yeah, go get a paisley suit.
What can I say?
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Is that it?
I think it's it. Have a good evening.